Hey.
Okay. Come on, I had a mouthful of cookies. Them cookies was banging. Them cookies was banging. And I don't have none for because she had a mouthful. You know what?
And now back to our regularly scheduled
And
programming.
to our regularly scheduled program. Now that PSA is over,
Right.
chocolate chip cookies was good though. Like I ain't gonna even lie. If y'all ain't noticed, now you know we got a special guest with us. One of my boo things. I know. I missed y'all. So this is one of our original, because we different, original co-hosts from the After Dog series when it was me and Benny and Q and Michael. Hey. He gonna be on the off the camera. So it is what it is. Then we got Sean. Then we got Gypsy. What's in the cup?
What's in the cup? Oh, I'm drinking on some vodka today.
Okay.
Well, try to be like me.
I mean,
so we got a little bit of everything going on.
I'm not really trying to be like you. I just wanted to switch it up. You know, you gotta switch it up every once in a while.
Hey, I'm not mad at you. Change is good. Change is evolution. I'm not mad at you. I'm eating my cookies. I'm not drinking because I was driving to get out here to them because I actually got into Washington yesterday. Flew into Washington, drove into Virginia. Now where Maryland? Now I'm in Maryland. Because I came to see my boo things after I finished training today, and then I'm gonna see Gypsy tonight when we done with this. If she's still woke, because her had physical therapy.
Yeah, I did. I got beat. My physical therapist was added some new stuff, and I wasn't ready.
Oh, okay. That's all right. Sometimes you know how it is. Listen to your body.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. But I am determined that I do not want surgery. So, for those who don't know, I have torn my rotator cuff.
Oh, so they did confirm it.
I'm doing everything I can to not have surgery.
All right. Well, can I speak to you from a master manifestor's perspective and just ask that you start speaking exactly what you do want and not say what you don't?
Right. I want to be healed. I want to be healed without surgery.
There we go. That's what you say. That's what you want. Now you ain't talking about what we don't want because we don't want the universe to pay that no mind.
Right. I want to be healed without surgery.
There you go. And I'm gonna stand in agreement with that. That's what it is. It's done. Just like that. So with that being said, I feel like that's a perfect segue because last week we left off because we had to rein Gypsy in because she was trying to get all of us told. So, wait, what did I miss? Listen,
you gotta go watch the replay. We need the views anyway.
Huh?
I said she got to go watch the replay. We need the views anyway.
Right. Okay. Look, I'm gonna give you a quick recap, and then y'all gonna have to go back and watch the replay. So we was talking about some bullshit. Gypsy was talking about some fuck shit. Then we was drinking a little bit. Then Gypsy was sipping. Sean was sipping. We was talking about some more bullshit. What time out? What was the shit? That you gotta watch the replay to find out what that is. All right. Then we was talking about some more fuck shit. Then Gypsy was talking some shit. Then we had to pull Gypsy in. We threatened her with an intervention because she was on some bullshit with some Gatorade that was blue. Then we talked about some more fuck shit, and then now here we go. So if you really want to know what we talked about, you got to go back and watch the replays. Like that. It's very good. So let's pick up from where the fuck shit left off. So where the fuck shit left off was that Gypsy was trying to get us all told because she wanted to talk about mental health, and we was like, not today, because that's not our topic. So we said back today and talk about mental health. Now, here's my disclaimer. And what up, fam? Hey, Sure, how you doing, boo? Hey, Sure. So with that being said, our mental health process is going to focus on like, what have we seen? What have we experienced? Whether in our family, in the neighborhood, in our community, in our churches, that now that we have a little bit more clarity, we may be able to recognize. We're not going to label anybody or anything
but
tonight,
we can say, oh, that looks like what they was talking about.
Well, that could be a mental health issue. Or we could say they've never been diagnosed. I don't know. But I think, because I want to be clear, we are not qualified to make those diagnoses.
That part.
Therapists. And so
we can talk about ourselves.
Right.
And what we've seen.
Right. So we could talk about ourselves, our experiences, our families, our communities growing up. but also just really advocating at the end of the day for if you have questions about your own sanity, if you have questions about managing somebody that you love, go get them some help. If they're your child or you're responsible for them, go get yourself some damn help, right? Because a lot of times we be trying to point fingers and talk about everybody else, and we need to get in therapy before we try to help somebody else figure their shit out, right? So my hope is that whoever tunes in tonight is gonna walk away either seeing themselves a little bit better or clearer, or the people that they love, because maybe it wasn't that they were just an asshole or the wicked bitch from the west, or they were trying to be a dick or whatever. Maybe there's truly something that they were struggling with that has caused them to behave in a certain way. If it's not current, if it's in the past, I can use my dad as an example. Like growing up, I felt like he was fucked up. As I got into my adulthood and I had the advantage of having a mental health background, as I got into my adulthood and I began to go to school for this and really understand it, I can look at him and potentially diagnose some things. You get what I'm saying? Right. So that gave me a little bit more grace. But please understand that mental health is not an excuse for treating people badly either. So let's also put
that. But people sure like to use it.
They do. Some of y'all be acting a damn fool.
That's okay. I'll use my mental health to justify that ass whooping they get.
And the thing about what you said is that it's not an excuse to treat people bad, right? But honestly, and I'm speaking from my own experience, I'm gonna make sure that I am considerate of people's mental health as I tell the story, speaking from my own personal of having been in a very intimate relationship with someone who does struggle with mental health, and not knowing what that looks like, for not even being aware that it was a thing, until I started to see things that didn't make sense. So you were talking about, mental health not being an excuse for bad behavior, how you treat other people. The problem is a lot of times that is a symptom of it, right? Well, I'm getting ready to tell you. I'm not making excuses. What I'm saying is a symptom of mental health is the way that they treat these people, right? The way that they treat. Like, so in other words, one of the triggers for me, one of the signs for me that something's not right here is the way that they are relating to me, right? So that was but the problem with it is if they won't acknowledge it, if it's like, okay, you won't acknowledge that maybe there's something wrong, which is why you're relating this way to me. So then why is this happening?
But Q, you know what that is, honey. That's like
I know exactly.
Those are family dynamics, because a lot of times the Black family, a lot of people don't understand this. The Black community, we was told to go take some Gatorade and go lay down. That it would go.
No, not Gatorade, ginger ale.
Not only that, it comes from a place where there was an upbringing, and I am someone who was very vocal about breaking this generational curse. Being raised in a place where children were seen and not heard, but children are little people who become adults that need to know how to be heard and how to communicate. And so when that doesn't happen, you end up with adults who don't know how to communicate well, are not in tune with their feelings. And so then they think that they're okay in the head, and they're relating in a way that's really fucked up, right? It's real fucked up. It's fucking up the family dynamic. It's hurtful. And when the people who did not come from that trauma are saying, hey, this is not right, your thinking is incorrect, they refuse to accept that. Okay, cool. So then why is this happening?
So let me tell you.
So and the wild part about it is you can't force anybody to believe there's a problem. I learned that going through my own personal legal battle, at least in this state of Maryland. You cannot force anyone to even stay on a mental health docket. I actually was witness. I actually saw a case where there was someone who was on a mental health docket, and he said, you know what? I'm not crazy no more. I will plead as long as I can go home today. Now, he was clearly mentally not well, because he had been mentally incarcerated by the state of Maryland. But because he elects not to stay on the mental health docket no more, he don't want treatment no more, he's declining treatment, he can now say, I'm a criminal, I'll plead. But in his mind, if I plead, that means I get to go home.
Was he diagnosed?
Yes.
Okay.
But they can't, even though he's diagnosed, you cannot force
You're an
somebody
adult.
to have
You can't force nobody to get treatment.
So let's differentiate that. This is not the same thing as being hospitalized. You talking about jail? I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. You talking about jail?
No, because a lot of times when you're on a mental health docket, they're actually forcing you to take medication. I know somebody
because I think y'all are starting to get into an area that you need to back up from. So let me explain why I'm asking.
Okay.
I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. Now, Gypsy, I understand what you're saying. Q, what I'm asking you, the person that you're specifically referencing, was he hospitalized or was he in jail?
No, he was hospitalized. He was not in jail. He was hospitalized.
So
he said, I would rather go to jail than be hospitalized.
So this is why I'm asking. Every state is different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what his case was. And the reason I'm clarifying this is because you're going to have people that's watching this, whether live or the replay, that's going to be like,
oh, that's true. So that's why I said I learned this just in my state of Maryland. I saw that.
But that's why I'm also asking you to be very clear with the terms that you're using. And this is Gypsy why I stopped you last week, because when we get into the arena of mental health, and let's be very clear, I got degrees in this, 20 years experience. I don't talk about shit because it's not my lane, because I chose not to stay licensed. Or be licensed in certain things. You understand what I'm saying? So if we're gonna talk about it, but let's not get too deep.
I'm just gonna say what I saw.
I get it, but let me finish.
And how
I get it.
Okay.
But I'm saying when you start talking about dockets and hospitalization and jail time and all those things, you got a lot of people that's gonna be like, I had that happen with my uncle, or I'm going through that now.
That's true. So I don't want anybody to take that down. I'm just gonna say what I saw and what I took from it.
Right. So
I don't want anybody to take it.
Come back over here with me.
Come on.
What I'm asking you to do, I can't even share it out because I'm trying to corral y'all asses back in the truck.
We went down this rabbit hole. You said it happened last.
You know what? I did this shit again with Gypsy. God damn it. Okay, so that being said, and Sean, feel free to help in any time. That being said, what I need for you and Gypsy to do, I see your mean ass over there smiling, Gypsy. What I need for y'all to do is be sporadic with the details. Be very spare. And just weave them in here and there, okay?
Cool, got it.
Because you start getting too detailed, and both of y'all start getting passionate and start going in on the
detail.
Okay.
But what I realized is that you cannot force anybody to believe that they should go seek help.
Yeah.
All right. And so, for my own personal, I realized there's something here that just for me on. There was inconsistencies just in the thinking process, and me being aware of this, just being an adult and saying, a logical thought process. But you can't say to a person who doesn't think that their process is. You understand? So one of my frustrations with mental health is
I still got to stop you there because you're saying you can't say to a person, you can't make that generalization. Because somebody can have a mental health issue and still very clearly understand, depending on what their diagnosis is and their specific limitations.
What I mean is you can't force anybody to believe what you're saying is true.
Now, that's true across the board. That ain't got to do with mental health. I thought you were talking specific.
Well, what I learned from my specific situation. From my specific situation, when I was trying to say, hey, I think that maybe there's an issue there that you should maybe get some help.
You talking about the ex-husband?
Well, yeah.
Okay. We can't talk about this no more after this, y'all.
I feel like
I'm gonna spend the whole night refereeing. Sean, please jump in.
I'm just saying that you want to do generalizations, but how do you generalize from your? I mean, I can't.
Well, so I guess what I'm trying to stop is because I know enough about
the first part was when I was talking about this stuff, the other stuff that I saw, and that had nothing to do with I want to say that had nothing to do with my ex-husband.
I understand that part. So what I'm gonna say for both of y'all, I tell y'all what, if y'all could do me this huge favor, because I want to be very careful with this, because it's such a landmine of things to talk about, right?
Okay.
Can y'all talk about something else than somebody in your immediate circumstances? Like if you can share, okay, what did I see in the neighborhood? What did I see growing up? What did I see in church? Because those are a lot of places that we see.
I mean,
I've seen them keeping them in the damn back room and saying, don't go back there.
Well, that too. But we've also seen examples, because y'all grew up Baptist, right? We've also probably seen examples.
Oh my God, you seen what?
Q, your family ain't have you. Everybody's family had that one that they kept at the house, and nobody really talked about it. That he was a little off. Shit, yes, with the little off, and don't go in that room. He back there watching cartoons. Leave him alone.
We've all had the family member in the basement.
Right. He back there watching cartoons. Leave him alone. Don't talk to him.
Okay.
I'm being dead ass. I'm not. I am the one that grew up. Though I present.
You were sheltered, yeah.
I present as other than.
I know. So, Sean, I'm gonna kick it to you.
Oh.
The reason I keep stopping these two is because I know enough about the stories y'all are telling, and I don't want it to get to the point where it's crossing the boundary.
I have one. Okay. So when I was growing up, right, I grew up in a rather nice neighborhood. No, there was a guy there who we all knew he had served in one of these wars.
Veteran. Okay.
He was a veteran, right?
Okay.
And I'm a kid, so he's like in his. I'm a kid, like 7. He was like in his early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, nobody ever talked to me about it specifically, but my mother and father were very clear that if I ever saw this guy walking around the neighborhood, that we should just come in the house. They were very clear about it. Yeah. And I didn't understand then why. You know, when I saw him, he just looked like a guy wearing a military uniform and just walking around. Yeah. Right. But my parents were very clear that, you know, we could play outside in the yard and we were in a safe neighborhood. Right. But when this thing presents itself, and it really was very clear, this one neighbor, if he's outside walking around, you come in the house. So I didn't know what that was about then. I didn't get it because I'm a kid, right?
Now you have different contacts.
Well, now I have different contacts, understanding exactly that he served in the Vietnam War. Yeah. And understanding that a lot of those vets have a lot of PTSD. Yeah. And so what I recognize now is that what my parents were saying is they recognized he was in some sort of fog, and they had heard that directly from his mama, who was the lady that used to do my hair. So in the 80s, you know, the black folks, we all real close. You know, everybody back then, you knew your neighbor, you knew the people around the corner. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. In the 80s, you know. Yeah. So this was someone who, this gentleman was the same age as my parent, grew up with them, went over, came back, and wasn't quite right. and everybody knew that. Right. Yeah. And everybody knew that. And everybody knew that because this lady we did all the little girls. We all went to her house to get our hair done. And it's, oh, what's wrong with your, you know? So I knew who he was. And my mama just made it very clear. If you outside playing and you see these activities, you come in the house. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I did. I didn't ask no questions. I know now why that's being said, because clearly there was some sort of.
Well, that's like, you know, that's why I said both of y'all grew up in church. Like, that's like in the Baptist church, you know, a lot of times we see the tarrying on the altar and the what? The what? I grew up in I just remembered that you had somewhat of a different experience, but it was tarrying in Pentecostal. It was tarrying for the Holy Spirit.
I grew up. Okay,
you still had a very different experience.
I grew up non-denominational that worshipped in a Pentecostal manner, but in reality, I grew up in a theater that looked like a church.
Telling truth. So in the Pentecostal Reformation is usually referenced as like tarrying for the Holy Spirit, waiting to be filled with the Holy Spirit, and Baptist laying on the altar, tarrying on the altar. And a lot of the times they were praying over people trying to cast out demons when it was really mental health issues. And
so, they knew they call it a demon though, because they didn't want to really talk about it. And you know, back in the day, they really didn't condone medication either.
Yeah.
Michael, what was the name of that movie there's a great movie on, because you said about the casting out demons. What was the name of that movie? The Pope's Exorcist. The Pope's Exorcist.
The Pope's Exorcist.
Now I have to look it up.
The Pope's Exorcist. Is that Antonio Banderas?
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Girl, he looked good at his age. Let me tell you something. That is a good looking man right there. Russell Crowe. Real nice. But y'all need to go see that. The Pope's Exorcist. It addresses that, which is can we talk about this? You know, okay, so
I just took y'all away from the personal stuff.
Right. No
Movies,
personal.
Go for it.
Like you said, how they have people. Okay, this is something that still happens, I guess, in church.
Yeah.
I'm no longer where they cast out demons or things like that. But recently, I believe, and this movie addresses that, where the Vatican has they don't recognize, what was it they were doing? Exorcism.
Exorcisms.
Officially.
Because they
of
don't officially recognize it anymore, because they was the ones that threw that dude down the stairs on the Exorcist.
They never officially recognize exorcisms. Never, ever.
That's what they say. Okay, so if they never officially recognized it, but it was happening, so I'm curious about
I'm curious as to how come everybody.
So is it mental or is it demonic possession?
Right.
Recognize it mean we're not legitimizing and saying we told them to do this, but we ain't stopped them from doing that.
But Q, the thing, I'm confused too, because how come we all knew to call a Catholic priest when we wanted to cast out a demon?
What?
You just heard what I said. She said, how come we call it Catholic priest when we want?
Right? How come the Baptist ones don't do
it? That's not true.
Well, yeah, they always would call the
Catholic. In the movies, they always call them, because that's the movies. Yeah, but in real life, they would call a priestess, a hoodoo doctor.
Yeah.
Any type of religious person, they would call them, depending on what your belief is, to cast out evil spirits.
I think it's just more sensational because the Catholic Church is largely recognized for a lot of exorcism work for whatever the reason.
Hollywood did that because we've been doing we have African rituals where they've been doing
as well. So that just depends on what you're growing up in. But I grew up around that in church, right? I grew up seeing people tarry on the altar, lay on the altar prostrate, pray for the Holy Spirit. And I grew up hearing them say, that's the demon. They need to be delivered. They need prayer. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say it was normalized to me, but as I got into my adulthood and even in my teenage years, and I was questioning things, I started to realize that, God is very big for me, and what y'all some of what y'all are saying doesn't make sense. Some of what y'all are saying doesn't feel. It doesn't line up with how I'm seeing God or experiencing God, right? So I started asking questions, which is what generally happens to a lot of people. They start asking questions. And then if you're like me and you go this particular route, education-wise or career-wise, then you start to ask even more questions. Mm-hmm. And now it's more normal. We still have a stigma in our community, which is why I want to talk about it. That's why I said we can be careful about the personal stuff, but we can still talk about it because we still have stigma when it comes to therapy, which is why a lot of people shy away from it, even though it's on Instagram and it's on TikTok and all the influencers are quote unquote doing it. And we have these platforms available. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Still, I hear from people every day, can we talk about it? Because I'm a little nervous because my mama said it, or my granddaddy said, or my pastor said. You still have us in our community pushing people away from getting help because of the idea that don't put my business in the street. Don't tell nobody my business. Don't be out here making me look bad. We don't go to therapists. We go to the pastor. Pray about it. Read the scripture. All those different things. Right. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things. Go to your pastor. Yes, pray about it. If you want to lay on the altar, baby, I'll help you build one and lay there and pray on it. Whatever makes sense for you. But that doesn't negate needing someone who can truly understand some of the layers of what we may be dealing with.
And someone who can do it in an unbiased way without there being so much religion in it.
And I would even say somebody who just has training, because every pastor ain't meant to be a therapist.
I didn't want to do that.
It's not hot. Okay. Every pastor doesn't have clinical training. I'm trying not to say some things. Every pastor doesn't have appropriate training to truly help someone outside of whatever message they're teaching on a Sunday.
That's true.
Every pastor is not meant to be a counselor, even though most people think that goes hand in hand. If I'm a counselor,
because that's how they present it. They presented that counselor, teacher, because of good counsel. They presented that way.
Well, that being said, they ain't got it. But the average person is not able to. And I'm not saying that trying to be ugly.
No, it's real.
I'm saying that clear of mind that they a lot of times are causing more harm. Mm-hmm. And this is why I feel like we need to have this conversation, because A lot of people are going to their pastors only, or their mothers only, or their dads only, or Uncle Jackie, who's the church mama, or the neighborhood mama, or whoever they consider safe, mentor, mentee, whatever. They're going to these people to get help, but they're not actually being helped, which is exacerbating the issue. And so you have possibly a mental health issue going unchecked, or you have a person that's simply becoming unstable because they are not getting appropriate support. They may not have a mental health diagnosis or illness that needs to be diagnosed, but they may be having some mental health challenges.
Okay.
Because
The only reason they don't have a diagnosis is because they won't go to the damn doctor.
Hear what I'm saying? Everybody that is struggling does not have a mental illness. They don't need a diagnosis.
They may be having a mental issue that still, at that particular point in time, they probably are having some sort of mental illness.
So they're in the middle of a mental health.
Because just because you're having depression doesn't mean you're clinically depressed is a long-term depression.
Yes.
But you can still have depression, and it is a diagnosis, but it's for that point in time. But if you're clinically depressed, that's long-term. Ask me how I know.
I understand, but hear me. What I'm trying to get both of y'all not to do is personalize this conversation.
I'm done personalizing.
I ain't fussing at you. I'm just saying.
I heard it.
Both of y'all. But I'm trying to get you not to personalize the conversation because you're speaking from personal context and lens of which you understand it, which is fine. But you cannot overlay. And I'm sorry, y'all. It's been a long day. I've been up since like 5:30. So forgive me if I trip over my words. I am. But you cannot overlay that personal lens onto everything and generalize it. True. That's why I was very clear when I said just because somebody is having a mental health issue, it is not the same thing as a mental health illness. It is not the same thing as them needing to be diagnosed. I'm differentiating that on purpose. So I could be having a mental health issue if I'm feeling overly anxious, if I am feeling overly stressed, and that stress is starting to impede how I get through my day, how I do my business, how I run my life, right? That doesn't mean I need a diagnosis of anything. I just may need some dick. Let's be real about that. I may need to drink a beer. I may need to go walk on the beach. I may need to do what the fuck
ever. As Arrested Development says, sometimes ease your mind.
But y'all get what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm using it as an example, but I'm trying to show you guys that outside of the lens of somebody having an actual need to be diagnosed or having a diagnosis, we all have mental health challenges sometimes. True. That simply means our health and our mental is not vibing. It's not on the same page. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. So let's be careful when we get to the point of saying they got to go get a diagnosis, or that's because they have not been diagnosed. There may not be anything to diagnose. Can I talk about me then?
Well, hold on, wait. Let's break down what actually causes this, not only mental health but physical health, what causes for people not to seek, any type of assistance. So you got to understand where we came from as a people. We've always been treated less than. We're more cattle than human. We don't feel pain. We don't go through, all those things. So that's how the medical community looked at us for a very long time. And so that affected the thought. I mean, they do still do, but not as much as they used to. But that did affect the process.
We got recent studies that still show.
I mean, no, it still happens. It happens way more than we wanted to. But at least there are some doctors out there that will say, hey, I believe you are feeling pain. I will look into this. I will run these tests.
Yeah.
That everybody else wouldn't do. But from the very beginning, none of that was happening, which caused the whole stigma about, oh, well, I'm not going to go see the doctor, or I'd rather go see the priest, the reverend, the father with my issues than trying to seek medical attention. So let's start there. That's where everything started. Now moving forward, yes, we can make better decisions because we're more well informed now.
Yeah.
But it's hard to beat back a stigma that's been there for a long time, that's been passed down generation to generation.
Well,
So
but
we
even with that, let me ask you a question, Sean, because I know you're typically that word did not want to come out.
It comes out.
Typically,
It got it. Came out. It got there. I saw you looking for it.
it was like, woo, mental gymnastics. You typically are a guy that I feel like me questions a lot, right? So you're not gonna just total status quo. That being said, even if we go back to historically speaking, because I understand you're talking about like slavery and all the historical context that we have in place here. So with that to consider, we still also have to look at the other side of that coin and recognize that every Black person here was enslaved. Not every Black person here was automatically brought over on a ship, right? We understand that there is consideration that some of our people truly were indigenous to this land.
That's true. I mean,
So
that is true, but at the same time, if your skin was dark enough, no matter what your history was, your ancestral history, you still got shitted on.
I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm simply looking at is there's nuance. Oh, I thought you were reaching for a cookie.
No.
Oh, there's Jesus. There's nuance.
Them cookies must be the shit.
Let me tell y'all something. They were good because first of all, my big bro made them for me. But second of all, you know, when you using a lot of energy, you're hungry. And I didn't eat a lot today. So I came in. He was like, "You want some cookies?" They done pampered me, y'all. They done made me hamburger and fresh cut fries. They done made me chocolate chip cookies. I just love being loved on. Anyway, let me get back on track. That being said, I just want to introduce the layer to the conversation that oppression is not the only part of our history that exists. So yes, there were nuances to it, and you know, our skin just brought a lot of bullshit with it, but there were probably people that fared better than others. And even way back then,
the ones that could pass. That's true. They fared better than us.
And even way back then, somebody had to be on our side, because how did we get here? It wasn't just us by ourselves. So it's not just now that there are some doctors. I'm just saying it's still as prevalent now as it was back then that we are shitted on. We're just shitted on in different ways, but we are a resilient people. That's all I'm throwing out there. Like slavery and being debased and all those things is a big part of our history and our historical context, but it's not the only part. So even when it comes to mental
I
health,
never said that.
No, I'm just
You
trying
have
to
to be your own advocate. You have to be your own advocate when it comes to medical care. Period. Whether
always.
Well, but it also has to be available, and that's what I was leading into. I know you was trying to stop me, but what I was leading into was, it seems like it's something that there should be more access to. And it just, I mean, there are celebrities that have been vocal about this.
Right.
Celebrities from the, you know, I know that Taraji is someone who's very passionate about.
Right.
She said there should be more resources because, okay, let's say let's just hypothetically say there is someone who, lots of people have a concern about. You know, you see a decline in their performance at work, or they seem like they're disconnected, and you know, a lot of times you've heard stories that like this, like you know, they seem disconnected from work. I've seen changes to them, but they don't recognize it. And if the resources aren't available, well, one, if the education is not out there, like everybody knows when they feel sick from the flu, because the education is out there enough that you start feeling it is like,
you can't even say
that. Though. But what I mean is, you know when your body don't feel well, that's not the same necessarily.
You'd be surprised.
What you mean?
I think I understand the example that you're
The example I'm going for is that, you know, like if you have a cold or something like that, you know, hey, I need to get this looked at. I need to get this checked. Now, I do understand that. Things like that. I was getting ready to say, now I do understand that there's the stigma in our community has been, like you said, if you go to the doctor for anything, that's something that we've been trying to break, because it's been systematic in our culture in the Black community did not go to the doctor.
Right.
So if you got this, if we are rooted in, we won't even take care of the body. It's that in and of itself is we need to unlearn that. That in and of itself is a mental diagnosis for the whole. Let's just put that out there. Okay, we just say that shit. The fact that we as a people don't think, so you got to unlearn that first, and in unlearning that, then say, okay,
we don't even want to get our sugar checked.
Maybe I should take care of this as well. But if we don't know that, even if somebody who has done the work is recognizing it and just says, hey, I love you, and maybe you should talk to somebody, if they don't want to take it, how do you attack it?
Q, we got folks falling out because they sugar too high. We got folks falling out because their blood pressure's messed up. And you really think that they going to run and get their mental check?
And that's my point. And that's why they don't pay attention to it or make it available, because who going to use it?
So I think that
Exactly.
I think it should be there. I think it should be there, and I think it should be as important as the body.
Okay.
But they don't make it that way.
But let me just interject this. That goes deeper, and that's so much more nuanced and varied than simply saying if they don't know how to take care of their mental health, they don't know how to take care of their physical health. We also live in a society that says these are the bills you got to pay. This is the credit you have to have.
That's
fuck your
true.
health, fuck your mental health, fuck your kids, fuck your grandmama. Don't give a damn because your daddy had a stroke, and fuck your mama too. Show up at my job and clock in.
Right.
That's the space that we live in.
That's true.
So you got people that are choosing, do I feed my family? Do I pay my rent? Do I buy diapers for my baby? Do I pay my gas bill? Do I put food in the refrigerator? Do I pay my water bill? Right? If you we understand that let me not even say half. I think last statistics I looked at, and please forgive me if this is not completely accurate, but I looked years ago, it has been at least 3 or 4 years. The last statistics I remember seeing were at least 75 to 80% of the homeless population were veterans and medical emergencies.
And that's
so you're talking.
That's crazy, because we have the means to take care of veterans. Now that is ridiculous, because hold on now, I'm a veteran and I can tell you that we have the means. Like if you are a homeless veteran, you can go over to the VA. You can call the VA. You could call. There are numbers. We have them.
So Gypsy, your perspective is still your perspective, because we got another veteran sitting here. I could talk about what I witnessed as my dad seeing, being a veteran. And
so I'm not gonna touch on these.
Well, you don't have to touch on it. But what I'm saying to nuance that conversation again, and Michael's a veteran too, is, and I teach this.
A lot of them just don't know how to reach out or where to go.
And well, that's a whole different conversation too. But I teach this all the time to people. Availability does not mean fucking access. Something can be available and does not mean it's accessible to everybody it's meant to serve.
That's the same thing you said, though. That's the problem.
Right.
Why
is it how you slice it? So before we get too deep into that about is there, let's table that for a minute and just go back to the simple fact that we still live in a society that demands a certain thing. Pay your bills or suffer the consequences of your credit being crashed. And it's a never-ending cycle. Once your credit is destroyed, how do you continue to pay your bills? Because now you don't have access to as many resources. Now shit's getting cut off. Now you can't get what you need, which then you're taking money to funnel from one place to another place. So whether they're a veteran, whether it's a medical emergency or whatever it is, you have so many people caught up in this never-ending cycle. So if they're in the rat race trying to keep the lights on, they don't often feel like they have time. And oh man, I see you joined us. Feel free to chime in. But they don't often feel like they have time to stop and go to the doctor. And this is a part of mental health as well. They don't feel like they can take off of work to take their kids to the doctor, let alone take themselves to the doctor.
Well,
they don't feel like if they use all their time here, they can use their time there, right? And then that still also impacts on the mental health side as it does the physical side. So that's all I keep trying to interject for you guys is I get it from the personal lens, but we got to understand like there's so much nuance to this thing.
But you know what, Jay, though? You know what?
Yeah.
That's modern day slavery. So that ties back into what I was talking about.
I'm with you. And that's why I wasn't disagreeing with you. I was just wanting to add more context. Like, let's not paint the lens that we are struggling and we've been broke down and ain't never been all right. But we also understand we're here because of the bullshit too. So
I will say this right here. I want to share this because going back to something that was said I think why men not going to the doctor. One, there is a fear Generally because a lot of time men delay going to the doctor so often that when they do go, you're going to get that bad news. Well, that bad news is simply because you never did engage in that preventative medicine. So when you do have something, you get it. It's in a later stage. Another issue is when as we relate to mental, and it was hit on early in the week or once before another show shut. You said something. I think Jay, you said something when the fact that mental health is not something that you can use your insurance for. You generally go pay out of pocket for that. A lot of time, men with families view spending something on them as taken away from the family. And a lot of men they don't feel comfortable with taking something away from the family. If I spend this on me, my son don't get these shoes. If I spend this on me, my wife don't get this jacket. And they don't see it as they got to take care of themselves simply to keep themselves be able to get a bunch of those things for their family. I remember once we took we had a kid at my institution who didn't have glasses. Well, a bunch of the workers there took up money, bought the kids glasses. Well, gave the kids glasses. Next day, our kid came to glasses. The day after that, the kid did not have the glasses. Day after that, the kid didn't have the glasses. Fourth day, the kid did not have the glasses. Come to find out, the father took the glasses. Well, a lot of them got angry and got upset. And man, I just said, hold on. It's a good reason why that father took the glasses. Well, the father took the glasses, filled out the application, got the stuff, went and got a job. Now the father got a job and able to sustain and support his family. Bought his son some more glasses. Now he can take care of his entire family. You got to see a lot of times you got to see the whole big picture before they actually judge, place, blame or something on somebody. You got to see the whole big picture. You got to see it from their point of view. And so I think that's the reason why a lot of men don't go. I advocate men go get that checkup. Men keep walking, keep doing, keep moving. My thing is I'm gonna keep moving, and when you see that I'm not moving, I'm gonna be honest. Go ahead and call the Undertaker because I'm not moving. I'm deep, so I'm always gonna keep moving.
So I'm just throwing this out here for y'all to think about. Like, do we also recognize that a lot of the times people are not addressing their mental health because of how they fear it will affect their loved ones? It's easy for us to judge on the outside and say they just need to go get some help. But sometimes people are afraid of that diagnosis being reported. They're afraid of that diagnosis affecting their job. They're afraid of that diagnosis.
Could protect that? No. I'm asking, not a medical health professional.
In theory,
HIPAA
law should protect majority of it.
In theory,
HIPAA law should protect majority of it.
But the way
have you ever heard a secret that stayed a secret?
But the way that this
So you have a lot of people that are afraid that it's going to get back. Maybe their coworkers going to see them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe somebody they know from church or in the community is going to see them going to the therapist if they're going in person. That therapist sometimes may not have appropriate boundaries.
You know what bugs me out is that the stigma around marijuana was easier for people to let go of than this.
No, and let me throw this one out here. There's a lot of women.
I've seen all the church folks in the dispensaries now.
No, and let me throw this out here, y'all. There's a lot of women that don't go to therapy, especially if only a male is available. And I say male, but men. Let me finish though, because I'm going somewhere with this. I promise y'all, this is gonna make sense when I say it.
It makes sense to me.
But out of safety, and I'm not talking about physical, I'm talking about emotional, because they don't want to be hit on. Because no lie, my last therapist when I did couples counseling hit on me when he wasn't in the session.
Hold on, wait.
What?
Hold on. Wait, yeah.
That's real weird.
I'm sorry. You said you were going to couples counseling?
Yeah. That's
what
what
it sounds like
to me. That's why I'm just gonna say that's weird.
Hey, listen. The same population or percentage that's gonna hit on you doing that. It's the same bad population or percentage of any profession. You're gonna have the same group. You're gonna have the same percentage of bad police officers,
I'm not saying it's a large percentage. What I'm saying,
that's why a lot of women are we're pre-programmed.
Right. Because for women, we think of everything in the context of safety. If I go to this location with my friends, am I gonna be safe? Fuck if I trust you. Do I know enough about this location to be safe? If I stay late at this job and I gotta lock up, am I going to be safe? What's going on around me if I gotta lock up this office late or come in early to open the doors? If I want to go to this restaurant and meet my friends, and everything we do is through the lens of safety. So even mental health.
Can I co-sign that for my own personal? When I was looking for a therapist, right? The first one that was recommended was a male. And at first I thought, all right, cool, this could work out. And just upon the early interaction, you know, that interview part to see if this is going to be a good match. Just upon early interactions, I realized, oh, I don't feel safe with this therapist. And I didn't feel safe, first of all, because straight up, I was healing from some trauma dealing with a man. And I didn't feel safe talking about it with a man.
Yeah.
It just started there. And so then from that place, I had to recognize that things that were normal professional things, really, like, I'm sorry, I'm having this delay. Can I reschedule our, you know, or me feeling like you're not getting back to me in an adequate time to communicate. So I was being triggered just in the interview process because this was a male acting in his professional capacity in a way that reminded me of my personal shit.
So that's why I was going.
And I needed a woman that was going to be able to say, girl, you know.
So that's why I was going there. Like, we as women do everything through the lens. So me, if I come from the field, I didn't have a preference. I can go either way. I work with male therapists and female therapists, or men and women, right? Masculine, female, doesn't matter to me. Feminine. We chose a man specifically for him to help navigate some things and help me better understand some things. But the first time he wasn't in a session and couldn't show up, and
that's weird.
Now, but here's why I'm throwing this out here, because the concern that a lot of women have, and I get this all the time from ladies around me, the concern is not so much about the hitting on or anything in particular. It is simply the safety aspect of something we may have experienced, because most women have experienced some level of disrespect or violence by men in their lives at some point, right? That being said, what ended up happening to me, I had to go to some other professional colleagues and be like, let me run something by you. Because when it was happening in the moment, I wasn't even processing. I was so focused on working through some of the stuff.
I don't go to male therapists.
But so here's what happened. Even with all the stuff I got, and I know what to look for.
I don't go to male massage therapists either.
Shut the hell up. Not the same damn thing.
I go to them.
Anyway.
Don't blame you ladies.
No. So what happens with a lot of ladies, they shut down. So here's a random fact. Random fact just for y'all to know. If you put a woman in a sexual position, even if she doesn't want to do anything, most often she's going to go along with it because her brain shuts down and she doesn't know how to respond to the stimulus that's happening.
That's true.
So she just acquiesces and goes along with it. This is what often happens to a lot of women when they get into therapy. And I see you shaking your head, oh man, but you are not a woman, so you can't tell us what we think or how we feel.
Don't do that.
You can talk from the masculine perspective, but you can't tell a woman how we feel. So let me finish my point. You take it away. That being said, I'm just throwing this out here because I hear this all the time from women. They don't want to go to a male therapist or a masculine therapist because they can't differentiate exactly what you were saying, what happened in a past relationship or experience with what that guy is doing. For me, when it was happening, I was so zoned into, okay, these are the issues that we're trying to work through. Okay, he's not here, so let me talk through some of the stuff that I'm struggling to understand, that I wasn't even processing what was happening. And it wasn't until later, because I review everything. I always self-reflect. Like a couple hours later, I was like, wait, what? And I had to call a couple of colleagues and be like, let me run this by you. And I didn't tell them it was me. I just said, hey, these are some details. This is kind of what went down, some of the things that was said. And they were like, Jay, who did that happen to? Because that needs to be reported. And then I would tell them at the end of the conversation, like, that just happened to me. But in the moment, I couldn't even
That's
you understand? So this is why a lot of women, I can't talk about why men don't go to therapy outside of the general of what I know in our community be stigma. But this is why a lot of women either A, don't go to therapy because they're afraid of that vulnerability if they've been abused or had some type of violent experience emotionally or mentally or physically, or specifically, they will not go if they only see a man is available, whether in their area, in network, cash pay, doesn't matter. If their female therapist is booked out, they're not going to a man.
not to mention him. Why
Uh,
would I want to
Let
end
me
up
say a couple
with a
things.
therapist? Well, if you had a therapist that needed therapy,
Clearly. And also shouldn't have been practicing.
he doesn't need a therapist.
Hey, I'm gonna say this. One, when I was shaking my head, not because what Jay said, it wasn't. She was speaking on uh therapy. One therapy, it was a sexual situation.
Yeah.
Now, that's what I was responding to, not therapy. Now, you're right. I'm not a one. Can't and never pretended to be one. But I am a pretty smart guy, and I know I'm pretty good, and I understand people. But I'm saying this right here: the way our society is set up, is women when they places situation and when or they can be a sexual situation. Our society has dictated that the woman is in control. No, the one unless there's a case of some type of an assault, and that's something I do not believe in, and I strongly urge anyone or anyone, not just one, but anyone who was ever assaulted or by a crime perpetrated against. I advocate those people go ahead and report to the authorities. But I'm speaking in terms of when it said a intimate type situation. The woman is in total control. She's not going to do anything that she doesn't want to do. Plain simple as that. Even to the point, that you're totally without your clothes. Even to the point of entry. If she says no, no is no.
I'm trying to be open-minded and hear your perspective, but what I said earlier still stands. I might have misunderstood why you were shaking your head earlier, and I will acknowledge that. But you don't have a right as a man to tell a
That
woman how
part.
she feels.
You have no
I
idea
don't give
as
a
a
fuck
man.
whether it's financial, sexual, or otherwise. Just like we as women don't have a right to tell men. Now we
Right.
can ask you for your feedback. We can share our thoughts from our perception, but no woman ever has a right to tell a man how he should respond, did respond,
Right.
how he should feel. And you as a
I
man
don't
can't
think
do
I don't think
anything.
y'all heard me.
I heard what you
Heard
said,
you,
and
No,
what
but
you
you
she's
said
said
is
not
being
that.
there.
told is she's in
Respond to the
control. But
See,
what I said to you was that's not always the case.
Okay, so time out because everybody's talking at once. Can't nobody hear shit.
Hold on one second.
we
I'm
heard
gonna
what
take
you
a
said.
commercial break. Thank you for interrupting the show. I'm gonna
Yeah,
take a
we got a
commercial
bunch of
break and
commercial
catch up these comments, and then I'm coming back to what I said because I said what I motherfucking said. And if I misunderstood it, then
That
I'll
part.
eat that shit. But I'm gonna stand up, girl. But I'm gonna know because one thing y'all know I play it
But
hot. I love the jokes, but I don't ever.
y'all misinterpreting. Y'all misinterpreting what he's saying.
Is it
Y'all
that we
misinterpreting what he's saying.
misinterpreted, Sean, or is
Yeah,
it that three
no,
women heard the same thing
no,
and what he's
no, no,
communicating is not
no,
effective? Let's
no,
not. No,
no.
no, no.
Well,
Let's
I
not
can't speak to how he communicated it. All I'm saying is y'all misinterpreting what he's saying.
Is
Because
it misinterpretation? Is three
basically what
women
he's
heard
saying
the same thing?
is that fucked up men are doing fucked up shit, and that should not be the case.
So
Because
what I'm
women,
asking you still
because
is
That's not
women
what
should
he
feel
said,
misinterpreted,
though.
or is his communication not hitting? I'm still
His
asking.
okay,
communication's not
okay.
hitting because what he's saying is that
So
what I heard
no,
him
no,
say was she
no.
was what that she
And
was
I said you
what she was feeling.
misinterpreted it. That's what I said. You misinterpreted
Commercial
it.
break.
Time out. Commercial break.
Commercial
Time
break.
out. Time out.
Sure said,
I
"What
know
up,
what y'all
fam?"
heard because of how y'all acted, but
Sure
y'all
said, "What up,
misinterpreted it.
fam?" Dominique said, "Hello."
Hey, Dom.
Jason said, "I'm late." You always late, but we love you because we know you driving and you on the road, Jason. So we appreciate you for coming
Yeah,
in.
this is what we talking about.
Huh?
No, I was just reading with you. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm still on Jason.
I know. My bad. I said my bad. My bad. I'm with you.
I love you, boo.
Because he said, what's the subject? So I was answering that because I saw that. Okay. I was catching up with you. My bad.
You good. I'm gonna let you read them out. Go ahead.
No, he said with the subject, and we was talking about exorcism and how it relates to mental health and whether the Vatican recognizes it or not. We had some up and downs on that.
We was talking about some bullshit and some fuck shit and some more bullshit. And if you want to know direct details, you got to go back and catch the replay for the beginning, Jason.
And then we were talking about veterans having access.
That too.
Dominic saying that he's fighting to get access right here.
Let's hold on one second.
Huh? I don't know. Okay.
Can you restate that, Dominic?
Remember, Jay, when you said maybe you just need some dick?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
We had to catch up.
Now with you. And you right when you right, Dominic. You heard me. See, I feel you eye to eye. That's what I'm saying. You're a veteran and you're fighting. So, Gypsy, if you have something,
I do have something. I can help him if he wants help.
So Dominic,
I did my own. You got to be your own advocate. I did my own with the VA. It took me a while, but I got it.
So Dominic, if you would send us an email, I'll pop the email on the screen real quick. If you would send us an email, I will make sure that I share your information. And I was looking at you, but I was trying to say Michael. Michael, if you would not mind sharing some feedback as well, if Dominic emails us as a veteran trying to figure whatever, because I can't give him that.
I can help you because I'm a 100% disabled vet.
Okay. So Dominic, if you would email us at the email I just popped up on the screen, sexintimacypower@gmail.com, and I will make sure that Gypsy and Michael get your information. And they can reach out to you and share what it is that they can. Hold on, let me scroll back up here. Okay, so Jason, you said some people don't want to know because they think that it means they're crazy. That too. He saw Jay was like, he don't need her. Are you talking about the therapy session? I think that's what you was talking about.
That's what he was talking about.
His shot.
You would shoot his shot. Jason said that man saw Jay was like, her husband don't need her. Look,
he wants to join in the conversation.
If you want to come on and join us on screen, feel free to let Q shoot you the link and come on screen, bro. We got you. Nadina, hey. Said true. I always prefer a Black female therapist. I need to feel comfortable, 100% completely open. I have a wall up and I have a thing about crying in front of a man. Absolutely understandable, Nadina. Dominic said lies. What was we talking about? I don't know. Tell us what we was talking about.
Oh man, he was talking about old man. I know exactly what he was talking about. I was saying the same thing when he was saying that crazy shit.
Let him respond. I don't think you're talking about me.
He was talking about you because
and that's because y'all wasn't listening. Y'all just heard shit.
Okay, no. Was it that we weren't? I see him. Was it where we weren't listening, or was it that his communication was not?
So let me break it down real easy for you.
Hold on. Let's see. Again, lies. Wait, hold on. I missed something. Wait a minute. Dominic said something about you got to get out of your head. Hold on, Dominic. If you can see us and hear us, you're on screen now. You said you need to get out of your head.
I was responding. Okay, so can you hear me?
We can.
So you were talking about women being sexually assaulted and the same as therapy being safe. And he was saying, because I heard exactly what he said. He said, no, women have control in the bedroom. That is not true. I have so many women in my family. My girlfriend is a sexual assault advocate. Women will zone out and go along with it because they feel safer going along with it than going against that man. And if you think otherwise, you are not in the real world.
That's not what he was saying, and that's what
exactly
heard.
I heard exactly what he. I heard exactly what he said. He said when it comes down to clothes, he said women have choice in the bed. They have more power in the bedroom. I heard everything he said. I heard everything he said because I have no choice but to listen.
You just.
So you saying that 4 people, these 3 women and one man, heard everything different than what he said.
Everybody that heard something different than what he was saying, they're putting their own feelings into what they heard, and they
have no feelings.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
You're very passionate. You're very passionate, so you have feelings on.
Time out, and then I'm gonna kick it to you. I'm just asking the same question, Sean and Old Man and Dominic, because all 3 of y'all are men. The women heard something different. However, Dominic, because his girlfriend is a sexual assault advocate or
something you just said.
Therapist.
He did say that. He did say that.
Okay. You heard something that we heard based on your close proximity to her, I'm going to assume, and the work that she does. So you understand it through a different lens than maybe Sean and Old Man does. That being said, I am still going to ask you, and Michael, let me ask you to weigh in. Which side of this are you leaning in on? Did you hear what we heard, or did you hear what Old Man said he was saying and what Sean said he said?
Well, I agree with both sides to a point, because both of you are making issues. It depends on the lens in which you view it through your own experience.
I hear that, but you're not really answering the question.
Hold on.
That is the answer. That
Okay.
is the answer, though. That is.
You didn't let me finish.
I'm sorry.
Now,
Get it.
in my personal opinion, I agree with you, because I understand just because a woman lets you don't mean she want to. I get that. And I'm not talking about from a rapey, let me get you. No. That's not what I'm talking about. If you have any type of experience with women as a man, more than two, you will figure out that, yeah, she might give you some, but you know the difference between a woman that lets you and a woman that wants to.
Right.
You know the difference.
So I'm still asking. With that being said, we're in the timeout space. Ain't nobody right or wrong. All I'm asking is, did we hear incorrectly because we are filtering through a personal lens, and we're assuming the wrong? Or is it because your communication was not truly clear with the point that you were trying to make versus how it was given? Because communication is not all about what you said. It's about how you said it. It's about the audience that you said it to. It's about the context that you're priming it with and framing it in. So that being said, when you're saying a woman is always in control, first of all, that's not fact. That's not inherently true all the time. That's not 100% nor guaranteed. Is it theoretical? Yes, I understand the context of it being theoretical, that a woman can choose who she sleeps with and she has a choice. That is not how that works all the time. So even when you make a blanket statement like that, it's going to skew what we are hearing as women. When I sat there and just made the point that is not what that looks like all the time.
To answer your question, it was both.
Thank you. It was both.
So
it was
because
both.
The reason why he answered the way he answered is because he respects women. So when a man respects a woman, it's always up to her. It's her choice.
So what you just said right there. So I'm gonna make this statement to you. You shook your head no and said that's not true. That's because the women that you have dealt with has been in control and you let them be in control. Now, when you make that statement to her, you're taking all the women in account, but you have not been with all women.
Hey, now I'm gonna be honest. I will agree with you on that. I'm not sure your name. I have not been with all the women.
Right. So you don't know majority of women experience.
I don't think any man has been with all. But I will say that. Let me share with you what let me clear up and say again what I was saying. Sean is absolutely correct. I do respect women. I do respect women having the choice. Any woman, any man in relationship, in an intimate relationship, it is always the woman's choice or prerogative whether or not they proceed. A woman has the absolute right to say no. Now, if a man proceeds, now that's an assault. Any woman that is assaulted, I advocate for that woman to go to the authorities, and that man should be dealt with through the judicial system.
That's not the point she was making, though. That's not the point she was making. I could be married, come home horny, and tell my wife to give me some. She may not be in the mood, but you know what she's gonna do? Because I'm the husband and I pays the bill, whether she want to or not. She gonna lay down and open her legs. That's the thing she was speaking of, because I didn't ask her what she's in the mood. I just told her what I wanted, because I thought, hey, I came home, I'm horny, I want some. Lay down and give it to me.
And if you the husband and you take it, it's a bunch of men locked up.
It's not necessarily. You're not listening. You're not listening. She in her head just blanks out. and says, okay, this is my husband, this is part of my duties. Because as you know, women didn't get their rights till the 1950s or 1942 or whenever it was. They was property and they had to do this. You understand? It was no recourse. And so that's passed down from generation
and I
to
understand the
generation.
notion of people being property rights.
And what she said, but what she said is different from what you're talking about. Yes, we were all property as black people back in the days. We was freed before women was free. We as men could never understand what a woman goes through, and that's what she was telling you.
Right, and that's where the disconnect came in. I was speaking of circumstances where that woman, it may be her husband, it may be her boyfriend, it may be her fuck, whoever. It's not necessarily violence. It's not necessarily taken by quote unquote force. She may not even say no. What I literally said was she may acquiesce. Her brain will shut down and she doesn't have the ability to respond, so she just goes along with it. Now, depending on that man and the connection, or the woman, because it don't just happen between men and women, period. Women sometimes get to a place, and I'm not saying men don't experience that. I'm specifically talking about from the feminine side, because we were talking about mental health, and I was talking about safety, which is how I brought this into the conversation, because it still affects our mental health. Women oftentimes will find themselves in a situation where they don't say no,
Right.
where they don't fight it, where there is no physical violence involved, and yet still they will have regrets because it's not what they wanted to do. The disconnect came up, and I think, and I'm speaking broadly for the three of us, but please correct me if I'm wrong. I think the disconnect came up, and the three of us heard the different interpretation of what you were trying to communicate was because what I said was not what you were talking about. You started talking about women having choices and being able to say no.
Because he respects women.
That's still not, y'all are still missing.
You got to understand, just like you said, looking at it through one lens and looking at it through another lens. He looking at it strictly through the lens of respecting women.
Y'all are still not hearing what I'm trying to communicate. So maybe
I hear what you're saying.
It's better
No. I hear what you're saying. I'm just explaining why he answered in a manner he answered in.
We understand
now, did he communicate it effectively? Maybe not. But at the same time, I mean, look, women take it too. It's not made.
Said that.
I know you just said, but I'm just saying it's not made big because a lot of men don't want to report it. They don't want to, deal with all that. They don't want to seem less than a man.
About taking it. That's what trying to.
And essentially that is taking it though. If I'm with a woman and she don't want to do it, she don't want to have sex.
Can I have the mic?
But
no,
I force her into engaging into sex.
One mic. All right, I'll call you back. Okay.
Q dollars.
So let me put it in a scenario which y'all can understand. Okay.
It's not y'all. I understand completely. I understand both sides.
No, you keep saying take it. Can you take a time out and leave room? Just take a time out and leave room. Yes, you understand, but also leave room for me to just explain my perspective of understanding so that we can understand each other. Do it. All right.
You got some patchouli oil?
Juliet?
No, never mind. No, that's not what I said. Go ahead.
Okay, I didn't understand what you said because you kept talking and I was trying to. We can't both talk
at
the
the
same
point,
time.
girl.
All right. So
I understand that.
Right. So she was speaking from a circumstance, and this has nothing to do with respect. She's speaking from a stance where, okay, Kelly Rowland said it perfectly in the song. Baby, when you tap me on my shoulder, I'll roll over. Baby, I heard you. She's speaking from a place of sometimes I don't want to roll over. Shut the fuck up. I'ma do it anyway. That's what she's talking about. There are times when, baby, I don't want to roll over and say I heard you. But, and that's not taking it because we're giving it. That's not taking it. There's nothing disrespectful about that transaction.
You're not giving it willingly.
But for us, it feels like an acquiesce because in my mind, I really don't want to do this. But I'm going.
And if you don't want to do it, just say it.
You're still missing.
That's not the point.
We're
So,
saying that mentally
And,
women are zoned out.
and that right there is my point. We're looking through two different lenses. That's my point. We're looking through two different lenses.
and so your job as a man, since you're respectful, since you're a man and you're being respectful of women, you saying you're looking from two different lenses. And so this is what I had to do because I was just like y'all on that side. I had to look at it from their point of view. So as a man being respectful, you need to look at it through both lenses. You need to hear what they're saying and register it. So what you're doing is you're not holding your fellow man accountable because you're making excuses for what he said. Instead of saying, okay, this is what we mean. This is what we mean. Because I've been on that side. I've been on that side too. I've been on that side
from the truth. I'm just
I'm listening to you.
I'm trying to make people understand that okay, one person's seeing this way, one person's seeing this way.
Right.
I'm not saying anybody is wrong, but I'm definitely not like, oh, I'm just on this side. Because look, if I come home and I'm horny and she says she don't feel like it, I got 2 fucking hands and access to porn. I'm good.
So you completely missing the point with that statement. Both of y'all are completely missing the point. It is going every single time.
You tell me what I was thinking.
The point is, women would not always tell you no. They will not express their feelings either because for personal trauma, generational trauma, anything that's coming down. If I beat you every day of your life because you didn't have my beer when I walked through that door. Listen. I'm giving you an example. I'm talking to you right there.
Just repeat it. I didn't hear.
Oh, okay. So if I beat you every day of your life that we were in a relationship together because you didn't have my beer out, I died for some reason. I'm gone. Your next relationship come home. The guy comes home. Guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna have that beer on the table, no matter what, because of what your past trauma, what you went through, everything that you went through in life, everything that you was passed down. So women will not always say no because they're pleasing their husband. They may not feel like it. Doesn't mean they won't do it. Don't mean they won't do it. If you know it's our job as men to take the damn trash out. And we was beat as kids because we ain't take that trash out. When we get with our wife and trash is like, what we finna do? We're gonna take that trash out, no matter if we tired, feet hurt, or whatever. We're gonna take the trash out because that's what we're supposed to do. It is ingrained in us. So no, their no's have not been heard for so many years that they won't always tell you no because that's my husband. I'm supposed to do this. It's part of my job.
Based on your logic, women don't determine whether or not they even have sex. They are completely all the responsibility been taken off a woman for having sex based on your logic. A woman is not in control. I disagree with that.
What they told you was they check out. She said plainly that women will check out because they don't want to do it, but they're doing it for you. So it's not necessary that, hey, I'm raping you. My husband said he horny. He's gonna take it. I'm a blank out. My girlfriend has done it. So now we have color codes. We have color codes, so I know when she's in the mood.
And if
because she can't always vocalize it because of the trauma that she's been through. And it's in her book.
Your girlfriend, if you have engaged in
let's pause for just a minute. Let's pause for just a minute. Everybody pause for just a minute. Because Michael wants to cut in. Because I'm trying to hear what everybody is saying so I can see the different vantage points. But at this point, I gotta admit that as a woman, and I co-host this shit, but I have to admit that this is starting to shut me down.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you are being willfully obtuse, old man. And I'm not saying that you're doing it purposely.
So you did not if anyone engage or forces someone to engage in a physical relationship.
You heard it. I said that shit, Sean. You heard me. I said it because I speak English and I speak. And listen to me, Mr. Antiquated. Your thought process is
okay. Breathe. Because this is what I'm trying to stop.
You really need to cut her off with the drinks.
Baby, I ain't drank nothing but some. What?
Don't. Just let it go.
I have a
Wait a
Cut
minute.
the phone off.
Wait, stop. Everybody stop.
It's just a
Stop.
personal phone.
Stop. I don't care. Stop.
Time out.
Stop. No. You stop. Because what we're not going to do is be disrespectful. Now, I'm all about
I have been
joking.
disrespectful.
I don't care. Stop. I have hit my boundary. Now, y'all know I'm all about joking. I'm all about the fuckery and being funny. But I hold a boundary when it comes to if we cross the line and I feel like we're going to start doing harm. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but I tuned the fuck out. And I started playing with my phone because what I didn't want to do was stop the conversation if I felt like it was going to be helpful to someone else that's watching. But it shut me down because I know that I personally explained multiple times why I felt like we might have been hearing something different than what you were trying to explain. And then what happened was Sean kept backing you up. And I understand you heard what let me finish, Sean. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but he kept backing you up because he thought that he really understood what you were trying to say, even though we kept saying, hey, we understand from the masculine side of things that this is likely what you were trying to communicate, but this is not how it is translating to us based on our perspective as women, not solely personal on the things that we've experienced, but we are all talking about whatever experiences we may have had and the hundreds or thousands of experiences we've heard from other women through our time on this earth, be it family, friends, strangers, who the fuck ever. Right. Just like y'all have heard it from men, whatever you all experienced in solidarity, right? So Sean, no attack, but right. And so then Dominic, as a man, tried to help you all understand what it was that we as women were trying to communicate. And it's like, at this point, oh man, I feel like you were being willfully obtuse. That's my perspective. I'm not saying I'm right, but that's how I felt. You were intentionally being an ass and trying to not hear what we were communicating was the point of what I said and what she said and what Gypsy said. And then you got another man explaining, okay, Sean and oh man, I hear you, but hear me as a man telling you, let me mansplain some of this shit to y'all so you can understand what the women are trying to say. Then you got Michael over here trying to play the middle of the road and help you get on the side in the middle to say, okay, it's a little bit of both. And we all agreed to that. It probably is a little bit of both. And you still kept fucking going. And my line in the stand is the disrespect. Whatever you feel like she drinking, we don't do that shit to Gypsy. We not going to do it to nobody else. We can be funny and crack jokes, but we're never going to be fucking disrespectful because people watch this show and they take it. We may not have a lot of live viewers all the time because people at work and they're taking care of kids and other shit. But trust me, I get the comments from people watching the replay. So I'm going to step off screen for a minute to get me together. And I'm going to let y'all talk because, Michael, I know you want to say something.
For the men.
Let me step to the side real quick. But I needed to get us there.
Okay.
I'm going to step to the side and let you interject as a man, and I'll be right back.
Well, I'll be the first to say there's nothing I want to do to appear to be disrespectful. And if anything, anybody have taken away from me as being disrespectful, I apologize for that.
Mute him, please. You were someone who definitely just
Michael, take over.
Okay.
He's disrespectful.
Oh, he left.
No, it's all good, Gypsy. I removed him. Michael, please take over.
Okay, gentlemen, I have a question, and I want you to think about it before you answer. Okay? Now, let's say, for example, you worked a double at work, right? And you dog-ass tired, right? And you come home and you see your lady is ready to drag her ass across the carpet because she wants some dick, right? If she wants some dick, how often do you tell her no?
Depends on how
I
tired
never tell her no. I never tell her no. I'll fall asleep before I tell her no.
Hold on.
If I'm tired, I'm going to bed.
You never tell her no. So now that tells me, because I agree with you, but that tells me that even us as men provide sexual favors to our women when we may not necessarily want to.
And can I explain my mindset about never telling her no?
Go ahead, brother.
Let me explain my mindset about never telling her no. I'm gonna tell you right now, they sell dick at Walmart for free.
Absolutely.
Everybody out there, it's whether you poly, mono, or whatever lifestyle swingers, everybody's trying to give your lady dick. And if she can't get it at home,
absolutely,
she can definitely get it somewhere else. It doesn't mean she'll leave and get it, but I'm not gonna take that chance.
Understood.
I'm not. So it's not that I want to do it or don't want to do it. What I'm doing is my obligation to. I'm not saying it's not fun. I'm not saying I don't enjoy it. But what I'm not going to do is give her something that she needs here that she can definitely go across the street and get.
I respect that. Absolutely.
I mean, so what's the difference of me getting a couple of hours of sleep and waking up and laying it down in the morning versus getting it to her right then and there? It's no difference.
That's you. That's just your point of view. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying your point of view is wrong. I'm not saying you can't tell your wife, hey, give me a couple hours. I just worked a double. Let me get something to sleep. That's how you feel. That's your perspective on what you were dealing with. My perspective on what I was dealing with. And this is what I said by I don't speak for all men.
Right.
I speak for my experience and the women that I've dealt with.
Yeah.
So with the women that I've dealt with who have cheated, no, I'm gonna give you this dick here. I don't care if I'm tired. I done fell asleep eating pussy. No, because I'm always give it to you. I'm never gonna tell you no. I'm never gonna tell her no. Any woman that I'm with, I would never tell her no.
Shit, I would fuck that. But that's why I was just trying to explain that y'all guys were looking at it from one end, he was looking at it from another end.
Right.
I wasn't trying to say either one was right. I'm actually saying both are right because I feel like a woman shouldn't have to feel like she should just break down and give it to you just to give it to you.
Right. So, my man,
let me ask you,
let me ask you a question.
Go ahead,
how many women do you know? You like a good guy. You might know like 1,000 women. How many women do you know?
Yeah, I can't. I don't have the numbers.
You can't even count them, right? You know a lot of women, and a lot of women know you.
Right.
If you feel like doing this, I want you to ask these women these same questions that you know, and I guarantee you, a lot of them going to say the same thing they said. So it's not about us. And I know you was trying to stay in the middle of the road. I know you was trying to stay in the middle of the road to keep it all nice and kosher. But as men, as powerful black men, and I see you, if we do that, what the person who is not understanding does is feel like you're condoning their actions and their words. When we try to stay in the middle of the word or we try to straddle the fence,
and it wasn't trying to stay in the middle of the road. What I was trying to explain is that because so the type of person that old man is, he respects women. So he's looking at, and that's all I was trying to explain, that he's looking at things differently than somebody that's just out here like, I'm gonna get all the ass I can get whenever I can get it. So he's not looking at it from that perspective, which is totally different than somebody that actually respects women. Hey, I'm only going to deal with one woman at a time. I'm never going to be doing this or that. If I'm dealing with this person, that's who I'm dealing with. You know, so that's all I was trying to explain.
I got you. So let me rebut that real quick. We was on a call, and it was me and another person, only black people on this call. This after George Floyd, right? And we all know about the George Floyd incident. So we on DNI call for Duke Energy. And this man said, well, and he mean no harm. And he got black friends. He's like, when I used to ride by, I used to say, what do those black people do to make those officers do like that? From his point of view, the officers was just doing their job. You see what I'm saying? Does that make his point of view right? Just because he only know a couple of black people, that those black people must have did something to get beat like that.
Those two things don't equate to each other.
No, so what it kind of does in a sense of he only has a view of him respecting women. That man only had a view of a black person getting beat because they did something.
And that's all I was trying to explain. That was his view.
Right. So that was his view. Now, I'm gonna ask you a question. Was his view right that black people had to be doing something to get beat?
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what we were talking about.
I understand. So I'm getting you there. I'm getting you there. Just because I see what point of view you have, it does not make that point of view right. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That man's point of view
I
by
never
Black Power
said
equipment.
I never said either one of the point of views are right.
No,
All I
what you
was
did,
saying is this point of view and this point of view. They're
right?
never going to see eye to eye because they're coming
But
at it from two different perspectives.
as an intelligent
That's
black man,
what I was
if
trying to
we don't,
explain.
if we don't take the time to explain to our own men, if we just say, "Hey, I understand what he's saying, and I understand what she's saying," and we never gonna come together. If we don't take the time to correct people, men or women,
First of all, you ain't correcting nobody. You can correct a child, but you can't correct no grown ass person.
you can correct your fellow man. If he's a true man that
No.
understands,
You could say what you say, but that ain't going to change that person's perspective or their mindset. Something's going to have to happen for them for that to happen. But as far as you saying how you feel and what you feel is right, they could take that, say, okay, he said this, put it in the back of their brain, keep it moving with whatever their thought process is. And that's just that. And I've dealt with enough people in my life to know, yo, I don't care if it's in fucking writing. You can say, yo, this is the truth. If they believe what they believe,
So
it don't fucking matter.
Can't take correction.
I'm gonna tell you, I corrected grown men plenty of times.
Hey,
You
And
assuming
some of them I haven't. Some of them I haven't. Some of them I have. Some of them, no, I didn't assume. They got corrected.
What are the view? Let's see what some comments
Before
are
we get
saying.
back to the comments, because we done bypassed all of them. That's yeah. That
I think
being
we
said,
beating this to death. Yeah.
let me jump back in here because I chose to step off screen because I know my mouth can get real disrespectful when I feel like people are being willfully obtuse and intentionally acting a certain way. And I don't, again, my assumption. Let me get back over here, Keith. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm telling y'all me. This is real transparent. And the reason I chose to keep it going
You
is
fading.
huh?
You're fading. All of a sudden your sound is kind of messed up.
She was closer to the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
say it a little more sensually.
Look, you heard that right? Like, hey, I got it in me when I want to pull it out. Don't hate. That being said, I chose to step away because, like I said, y'all saw when I disconnected, right? So I disconnected because at a certain point I realized there was nothing that you could say that was going to change how I was perceiving what was being said because I felt like you all know. It is not that I'm not open-minded. I think I'm very open-minded. It was simply
You're
because
talking to my point.
well, no, I chose to respond that way because I was open before that. Excuse me, I was open before that moment. Once we kept repeating over and over and the rebuttal kept coming, it's like, okay, now you're just rebutting to rebut. You're not hearing. You're not being productive. We're not being productive. So I tuned out thinking, I'm going to let y'all talk through it because maybe there's something that somebody else can say in this conversation that's going to help the other side to see or help bring some common ground. But after a certain while, I also felt like it was starting to become offensive, which is why I stopped talking because I know my mouth, right? So that's why I said, Michael, you take over. Let me step over here for a minute. Let me let you interject. I was standing right there listening. That's also why I removed old man because once Michael started talking and he's trying to help all of us, he was taking over Dominic's position as mediator, trying to help us. And old man, you were still talking. That's why I said
he was trying to apologize.
It didn't matter at that point. Let them finish, and then you could have took the stage back and apologized.
I understand
so
that.
Nobody can hear that because again, everybody was still talking over each other, right?
I understand that.
That's why I brought him back.
He was trying to apologize, so that's all.
Be that as it may, nobody could hear it at that point, which was the point. Just it's not productive. It's not helping at this moment. Give it a beat, and then when we can hear you, bring it on. But everybody's talking, and ain't nobody getting nowhere. That being said, we clearly all well, let me put this comment up because it's Jason said I see what he's saying. You explained it perfectly. So I guess he's talking to you, Dominique. So, or either you, Michael. Let us know, Jason. But that being said, this is clearly a polarizing discussion, which is why we need to be able to have them because I guarantee you we're gonna get some feedback on this one too. And a lot of the times we are opening discussions that people are wanting to have, and they're a little nervous, they're a little scared, they don't know, or they don't know if anybody else agrees with how they feel, whatever. That's to sum it all up so we can move the fuck on, what the three of us were trying to explain. Because Cher, in her comments, and I put it up there, was able to hear something different. She was hearing you say the societal. What we were trying to communicate was, even though we hear you saying that, you were in turn discounting the very thing that I just sat here and told you we literally experienced. We're not going general. We talk in real life. This shit happens all the time. So you can't discount what a person is saying their lived experience is, and the experience of almost every other woman that they know, and say, well, this is how it should be, because how it should be doesn't take away from what it is. And it's the same thing on the man's side. Y'all go through shit that we don't understand, and we don't have a right to tell you that's not how it's supposed to be. Fuck how it's supposed to be. This is what you're experiencing. So we done summed it up. At this point, we probably not gonna all agree. So let's keep moving so that we can be productive in the remaining few minutes of tonight's broadcast of mental health, is where we started off and where it needs to go. Oh man, I am gonna kick it to you. Sean said you want to apologize if that's what you were trying to do. I'm gonna give you space to do that. Please don't go back into it.
I done said everything I need
to be good. So let's keep moving. So let's keep moving, because I don't want to go back into it. I just want to give you space if that's what you were trying to do. I didn't want to take that away from you. But let's keep moving. We don't have to go back into that. To finish out this conversation tonight on mental health, let's pick it back up by saying that, again, not everybody is going to need a diagnosis. Not everybody is mentally ill, but we all can have challenges, whether that's your stress level at work, your relationship ending, losing a baby, having a baby, getting divorced, getting married, running a business, moving cross country. Like, there are so many things that can challenge our mental well-being, our mental health, or mental health and well-being, right? A lot of people try to differentiate them and separate them, but your well, your whole well-being, right, shouldn't be included, right? Because like that's the whole right mind. That doesn't it start there? You see what I'm saying? That's the whole part of this point of this podcast.
Anything she said.
She got to talk to the mic.
She got to talk to the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, well, doesn't it start there though? Like, because I mean, we're talking about wellness, whole wellness. It really does have to start there. Yeah. And then radiate downward.
All right, so babies, let me repeat this so y'all can hear the sound of my voice. Can y'all hear me now? Because I really want y'all to hear what I'm trying to say.
But it's after dark too. When you talking like that, girl?
I'm just playing with y'all. Can y'all hear me for real though?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so
project.
So Jen said the lines of wellness and mental health get blurred all the time depending on the experience. They really do. Mm-hmm. But they should be intertwined instead of blurred, because they're one and the same. I mean, when we're talking about wellness, if your mind ain't well.
All right, so Q.
You gotta speak up.
Talk to the mic. Talk to the mic.
I forget. You know what? I'm an audiovisual person. We really should have had a mic hooked up to this.
Let's get to the point. Speak up.
I'm saying the lines of wellness and mental health, right? And really they should be one and the same. Because when you talk about wellness, why is there separation in the first place? Mental health should be something that is included in health care.
Yeah. Nobody here is disagreeing with you, but on an everyday level, people separate it all the time.
Right.
Their mental health can be trash, but they're like, as long as they can get out of their bed and go do their job or take care of their families or whatever it is that they feel like they have to do as an obligation, a lot of people are still going to separate those things. And if one thing is working, everything else can burn as long as they can do what they got to do to get through the day.
So the question is, how do we heal? Knowing that that's the thing, that is the problem. That is it, right?
Well, one of the things is these conversations. Another part of that is when we know about resources, make sure that we share those resources with the people that not only we love, but anybody in our community that we may come across. Like, I got a resource years ago from a friend of mine that used to work at a nonprofit. And it's like a 20, 30-page list here in Birmingham of a lot of resources, whether it be food or shelter, all kind of things, right? So literally anytime I talk to somebody or talk to somebody that's talking to somebody that's having some type of challenge, I don't care what it is, I'm like, here, let me shoot you this. Let me send you this in an email. And I send it to them because if they can pass it on and help somebody, everybody ain't got to come to me to get help. I may not always need to recommend a therapist to them, but I'm still going to be giving them every resource I can think of. Right. Because a lot of times if you're going through food scarcity, that's going to exacerbate your mental health or wellness or exacerbate any mental illness. If you got chronic pain, that's another one. So if I'm talking to somebody that's trying to lose weight, I'm not a trainer anymore. And I'll let them know, listen, I don't write wellness programs and things like that for that point anymore, but I'll tell you some tricks and suggestions to use, right? If I can give you something to help you get started or recommend something, whether it's a YouTube video, I'm going to tell you something, because any of those things can exacerbate how we feel and challenge our well-being and put it in the trash. That's all I'm saying.
That's a great idea, Jay. In fact, I was getting ready to ask, how do you tell or share with people that you think they need something in terms of mental health? How do you push it? And the idea of coming up with all those different types of resources, even folks who dealing with credit issues.
So I just have honest conversation. Like real life, I had a guy, a black guy, 2-3 days ago, I was having a conversation with. And we were talking about the fact that he's, moved to a new city, just started, city he used to live in, but he just recently moved back there, started a new job there, went through a divorce within the past, whatever length of time, all these things, right? And I said, how you doing? And he said, real talk, I think I'm dealing with some depression. I said, well, have you talked to somebody? I didn't say therapy first. I just asked him, have you talked to somebody? Right. And he was like, nah, but I'm not really sleeping, blah, blah, blah. So as he's talking to me, I'm still just asking questions to gauge, okay, how open does he seem to be to this? Like, how's he responding to me? So as he's answering the questions, I'm like, hey, I ain't saying you got to go talk to a therapist, but I would advocate for you to, if you know somebody that you either trust or you have insurance, or even if you don't feel like you're ready to go talk to a therapist, who do you know that is safe in your life that you can just have some honest conversation with and say, I'm not okay. Like, that's how I started introducing it to him. I don't just come out the bat, and because I've seen this backfire too many times. I don't just come out the bat and be like, your ass need therapy. Now, if I know the person, maybe. But if I don't really know like that,
I got a question. I don't know your name. They was calling you old man. Is that what they call you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems, are you asking, like, if you see somebody who you know need it, and how do I get it to them? Or because I recognize these symptoms? Or are you talking about, hey, how do I get these things because somebody's asking me about it?
Well, I was pretty much asking the question so everyone or people can possibly respond. And when you share your ideas, somebody that's listening to this or viewing this, they're gonna know how to get some help and get some assistance for their friends. It's one of those things that I ask to simply just get information out. Now, if you have ways that you can get something out to people, please share it. And somebody's listening to this, somebody's gonna be helped from this video today.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times,
talk to the mic.
I'm sorry. And a lot of times, like you said,
all I need is one mic.
I know I keep talking my bad. I keep talking to the mic. And a lot of times, like you said, just the honest conversations. I mean, if they're willing to be receptive, because she said, if someone has the strength to say they may not be okay, listen and take action, because that's the part that I was trying to make earlier. Is a lot of times we may hear it, oh man, and you might want to say something, but if they're not okay, they may not be receptive. So how do you help in that instance?
This is why I said I don't bring up therapy immediately, because a lot of the times that can make people defensive, that can overwhelm people because they're trying to navigate all those things. So the first thing I ask, are you talking to somebody? Do you have safe people to talk to?
Okay, well, let me take it further. Okay, because that's one issue. But what if in an instance you may have someone who you had no idea that they had, and then you recognize this looks like mania. It's someone that you love, you had no idea that they ever had him, and then it's an actual emergency situation, because that happens. So
give me some more context.
In other words, like, you recognize that they're in a manic state, they're not sleeping, they're up all night, they're doing, and you recognize this.
I sang Golden Girls.
Huh?
I sang the Golden Girls theme song. No lie. I have a friend who I recognize when she in the manic state and her favorite show is the Golden Girls. And so
Okay.
you notice by talking to people and being open and listening to the words people say. Um,
Okay, so this is the answer to the
Singing a
question.
Golden Girl song start bringing her right back out of her manic state.
Okay.
Because when she's in her manic state, she would have sex with anybody. She would spend excessive amount of money that she don't have. And I reckon after knowing her for like 2 years and being close to her, I recognize these things. And if she she has dissociative disorder, but she has
Okay.
multiple personalities.
So are
But
you
if
able to talk to her and say, hey, you need to get back on your meds, or you need to talk to someone when she's in there, or you just have to sing the song and hope she
so
comes back and listen to what
she's
happens?
high functioning. So once we get to the part where she's cognizant of everything that's going on, yeah, we do talk about therapy. But I have to make sure she's in a place to receive that. And you get that by just being a friend and just listening. Sometimes, yeah,
That's what
like
I
she
want
said, they don't want to hear therapy, but you have to let them know that you're open to listen and not judge. That is one of the biggest things that I've learned. If they feel like you're going to judge them, they will not open up.
And I'll just add context to that again, coming from, the background that I have. Again, I don't even bring therapy up until I've had a opportunity to engage with a person.
Right.
Because I don't.
So that's why he said he's known her for 2 years. So obviously he's been engaged. So he's safe to do that.
Well, no, yeah, but I'm saying if you don't know the person.
Right.
Like even if you've known the person for a while, but you don't have that intimacy with them. You know what I'm saying? Because just because we have longevity with a person doesn't mean we have access to all the parts of them. So
Very true.
until I can better gauge, where they seem to be open to me having that conversation with them. Again, I just ask people, do you have anybody safe to talk to? Do you have a friend or a bestie or a parent or anybody in your life that you feel like is non-judgmental that you can just get it out? Because a lot of times, even if it's not a mental health issue, sometimes people just need space to get shit the fuck out. We hold so much in and it starts to beat us down internally, right? Deplete us energetically and emotionally. And so do you have somebody to talk to? Because we get so caught up in that Superman and that Superwoman syndrome, we forget, no, it actually is okay to be weak and vulnerable. I also remind people of that, like, yo, it's okay to not be okay. It's
You know what
okay
my problem was? You know what my problem was in the beginning, that when you told me stuff, I would automatically try to solve it, and that it kind of makes things worse depending on who you deal with.
But as a man, that's what we are taught growing up, and that's our go-to. And you only learn from dealing with life situations that's not the thing you should do right away. You gotta sit back, you gotta listen. Sometimes you ain't gotta say shit, you just gotta listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
what I said.
Sean, that's one of those men go through things, man. We problem solve. You give us a problem, our first inclination is to solve it, and then say, "Hey, baby, look what I did. I solved this problem for you." In
You
the
know,
actuality, that
you need
wasn't
food. I'm going to hunt. I'm going to fish. You need a house. I'm gonna build that shit. What do you need? I'm gonna do it. So that's how we're raised.
Y'all finna laugh at me. Y'all finna laugh at me. Let me tell you what. Where I got most of my understanding from is watching anime. No bullshit.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Watching anime, and I'm watching from this perspective. So it's like we said, like, if you hungry, I'm gonna go get this food. But what if I'm not around anymore?
Yeah.
How does she solve that problem if there's no me?
And that's
There's so many people or men who die and they don't know what the insurance policy is. They don't know how to pay the bills. They don't know how to do this. Why? Because we did it all for them. So when they come to us with problems, how about we help them? Like, we help them through it so they figure out a solution on their own. And so that's the conclusion I came to, because listen, you tell me a problem, solve it. Hey, my boss being mean to me. Let me want to go whoop his ass. That's who I was.
Nope. I'm gonna walk you through. I'm gonna take you fishing with me. I'm gonna take you hunting with me. I'm gonna show you how to build shit. Look, this is how you connect these pipes for the plumbing. This is how you connect these wires for the electricity. Look, this was because if I'm not here, you're gonna need to know how to do that shit.
Right.
So,
but what I'm saying is, it's kind of like that.
General friendship, instead of just men being the fix it all for women, let's bring it back to general friendship so we can talk about resources. whether it's a man and a woman, whether it's a woman and a woman, man, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In general, right? We have to be reminded of the fact that we don't have a right to force things on people as well.
And
So
that's
even
true.
if we
That's
want to
true.
fix it,
Yep, I agree
you
with
get what
that.
I'm saying? We can't force. I'm the same way, even as a woman. There are women that are the same way. It's not just inherently a masculine trait. I check myself at the door because what I always remember, it is not my right to teach anybody anything.
You better check
Because
yourself
I
before
know
you
it
wreck yourself.
But you know what I'm saying? What I do have the right to do is share resources or information that I have that can be helpful. And then they get to decide how they're going to use it. Now, if they want to come back to me for more support or they want a recommendation for a therapist or whatever, shit, I got you. I will help you make the motherfucking appointment if that's what it takes to help get you to safety, right? If you want me to go to the emergency room with you, I'll do that too. You want me to sit on the phone with you while you drive there? Do that too. I've done all those things. But if I do nothing else, I'm going to ask you, do you have a safe person to talk to? That's the first thing that you can do to try to be of help to somebody. Ask them who they have in their space that they can talk to. If you feel like you got the bandwidth to do it, then volunteer it yourself. Next,
That part right there, having
yeah,
the bandwidth. Because if
if
you
you
don't
don't
have the
got it,
bandwidth,
don't volunteer yourself for shit that's gonna have you broke the fuck down with them.
You
Okay?
gotta
yeah,
understand. You gotta understand that. You gotta understand that. And
Yeah.
that's you got to understand your bandwidth. You got to, because yes, you can be there for some people sometimes, but you can't be there for everybody all the time.
Yeah.
And you
Even as a
have to
professional, I have
understand that.
my limits on who I'm gonna help, what I'm gonna do, and when I'm gonna do it, right? So understand your bandwidth. But next, have available resources that you feel comfortable sharing. So if you know that somebody's talking about not being okay, then Google is free to everybody. And if they don't have the bandwidth to look it up and use it, then you take that upon yourself if you feel like you want to be helpful, right? So I've gotten on Google to help people find things in different states. I have people reach out to me on social media all the time. Hey, Jay, I'm not local, but I need some help. Bet, where you at? What's your zip code? What's your city? And I'll spend 20, 30 minutes looking on Google and trying to find something in their area to direct them from, because sometimes even that is exhausting to the person that's treading water,
Hey,
right?
Jay,
So that's the
Jay,
thing you can do. Yeah.
remind our listeners to like, share, subscribe. I hadn't heard that phrase in a while tonight. Like, share, and
You just
subscribe.
told them. Y'all heard what he said. Like the
Like,
video,
share, subscribe.
subscribe to the channel, and make sure you share that bad boy out
Share,
too.
another friend.
Okay?
Uh,
Because if
I
you're
think
not telling them, do you
we
really
got
like
some
them?
great information being given out tonight. Hey, Gypsy, I hadn't really heard from you much tonight. You sitting back there sitting relaxed.
She side eyeing you.
But can I tell you what I heard though?
No, I checked out a while ago.
I know, baby. We just trying to bring it to a close.
What I heard, and this right here is true to help bring it to a close. I said probably the truth of the matter is, if I could just be real talk, and there was a group I don't want to get no copy. Well, no, can we quote? I'm not singing the song. I can tell you the song that I like though, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a group out there back in the 90s called REM, and they made a song. And I'm gonna tell you, it's the truth. The reality is, all of us at some point go through something. Everybody need to talk to somebody because everybody hurts sometime.
Damn skippy.
So we all just a bunch of nutballs trying to figure this shit out in real talk. I'm gonna talk to you when you talk to me, and we can all talk to each other. Because everybody missing a screw at least.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey,
I got a couple screws.
You know what
you
I'm saying?
you gotta be
Everybody
crazy to be
nuts.
sane in this world. I'm telling you, you gotta be crazy to be sane in this world. Because if you ain't, you gonna go start raving mad.
And let me put this out there before we bring this to a close, guys, because there are some times when you are not equipped, whether it be professional, educationally, experiential, or emotionally or physically, to help a person, or financially. And it's okay to know where your boundaries end and theirs begin. Okay. You don't have to harm yourself to help another person. But that also being said, if you truly believe that someone is in an active mental health crisis, if you feel like they are a physical danger to yourself or someone else, I'm going to tell you to call 911. If you know their family, then you need to call their family too, because no one should have to navigate that alone, especially when the authorities are called in. But if you are afraid, if you are afraid for your well-being or their well-being or someone else in that safe situation safety, then 911 is going to be your best bet, and let them intervene on. Don't you do it because you're liable to get hurt or may finding yourself hurting them trying to defend yourself. So use that as a resource. Aside from that, if you know their family and you're having to involve the authorities, call their family if you're able to. And just, even if you don't get into detail, hey, here's what's going on. I had to call 911, so at least their family can try to help them come navigate it. If you know that person, and then we're gonna close this out because we need to debrief. If you know the person and you know their family and there's a relationship there, then you have the ability to advocate depending on the level of intimacy you have with that person. I've had friends where I've had to call their family and say, listen, there's what's going on, because I had that permission from them in the friendship and their family knew me, right? If you are not a professional, don't handle it like one. Do the best that you can, share resources, and then remove yourself from the situation so that you don't cause harm and they don't harm you. Because even the best laid intentions and the best person can become dangerous or harmful if they truly are having a mental health crisis or illness that is being triggered or exacerbated. So with that being said, if there are specific questions that you have that you need resources for, please just send us an email. Yeah, I'm going to put the email back up here on the screen one more time. Just send us the email to sexintimacypower@gmail. If you, whatever particular city or zip code that you're in, let me know. And when I have free time, I promise y'all, I don't mind getting online and trying to find some local resources or seeing if there's anybody within the professional space that I know there personally. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Michael and Gypsy have already said, if you're a veteran or you're active military and need some encouragement or need something, please email us and I will be sure to get them your information so that they can just encourage you from the space of having gone through that shared experience. Q is also a dynamic advocate when it comes to spiritual stuff. I ain't volunteering myself for that shit because I got a lot on my plate, but I'm volunteering her because I love her and I know she's just badass. And I'm doing this.
Hit us up, man.
I'm doing
it. But I am really, whenever, a lot of times when people are going through something and it's so hard, I'm gonna come through and cheerlead you through the shit to the best of my ability. If you, because what I realized, sometimes you just need to hear you doing a good fucking job.
Yeah. So
and let me say it, you doing it to all of y'all. You doing a good fucking
damn right. And I'm joking, but I was saying that with her permission, y'all. But so yeah, if you need some spiritual encouragement, again, email us and I'll make sure to get it to Q. Oh man, and Sean, I'm sure that y'all feel the same as far as the men that need some encouragement too.
You see the chakra diagram behind her, so she about the spiritual. So definitely hit her up for the spiritual.
She about that life. And y'all, I'm putting Michael and Q on the spot because they've been promising forever and a damn day that they was coming back to join us.
I'm glad they came on because they gave some different perspectives.
But this ain't the last time.
I hope they come back. They gave some different perspectives.
I put them on the spot, baby. We expecting y'all to keep on coming. So with that being said, we ain't got no time for no more closing remarks. Fuck all y'all on screen. Love y'all out there in the audience. We will see y'all next time. They know I love them, y'all, but we got to go debrief because this is a lot going on right now. So with that being said, thank you for being a part of our audience. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the content if it makes sense for you. And more than anything, let us know how we can encourage you on what you want to see us talking about next time. We'll see y'all next week, guys.